In this video I will explain event storming. Why and when do you want to use it and what are the main formats to apply it. I will also provide you with the 8 phases of an event storming agenda. So let's start with the problem. Why do you want to use event storming? Maybe you struggle with miscommunication in your organization, or maybe you have to deal with complex business processes in your project. It's also possible that the bigger picture is missing in your project or team. But these are just some examples where event storming can come in handy. So, what is event storming? Event storming is a workshop structure and format that is using some basic principles. You should have infinite modeling area. So in an office, visualize a wall where you can use all the space available. Or online in, for example, Miro. The second principle is grammar simplification. The third one is cooperative exploration and design based on storytelling. The fourth principle is that we use a simplified modeling based on a timeline. And fifth and last principle is that we use cross-principle collaboration. There are some main formats of event storming. The first one is get the bigger picture of the entire business process, where all participants collaborate together. In this setup, there's no scope limitation. Every input is welcome. The second is process modeling. Business process modeling has some scope limitation, where you can dive into more detail of your sub-business process. For example, an order-to-cash process. The third format where to use event storming is software design. This is, by the way, the perfect way to refine features with a team. Basically, there are 2 styles, which are discovery or design. Discovery is starting more chaotic and will end up in a more detailed structure. Experienced facilitation skills are required in this setup. Design will enable the team to visualize and discuss features in the making. The scenarios to apply event storming are endless. For example, kickstart your project with a contractor or explore a business process. Think about new feature functional design, user journey mapping, microservice architecture design, and explore the bounded context, data synchronization, but also more process oriented, like a retrospective in your organization, a root cause analysis. It can also boost cross-team collaboration. So for now, let's dive into the agenda of an 8-step event storming session. So the first step is called chaotic exploration, and that's exactly what it is. Expect some chaos here. So what you basically do is you explain some rules when on the start of this session. So all your participants should apply the following rules. So let's try that everyone uses their own sticky colors. Try to write events in the past tense. So for example, order created, order cancelled, or quote created. So try to keep it simple here. In this phase, speed is more important than validity. You don't want to have a discussion from the beginning. Most important thing, everybody engage in the workshop, so everybody participates actively. It's important to, when we model things out, that everybody owns the space, so all the input is our input. Also make sure that everything is captured, so no open discussions without capturing the details. Right here you can see one of the examples I had in the past on a Miro board, where you see the islands of the special colors that belong to a specific person. So now it's time for emergent structure. So emergent structure. What happens? From all the separate islands for each person, you try to create chaos by hustling it all together. And we do this by order it in a timeline. So if you see the business processes from A to Z, try to shuffle all the sheets of paper that you get an order by time. So the next step is identify pivotal events. So what do we mean with pivotal events? Pivotal events are the ones that stand out, more important than the others. Those events you want to turn orange. Orange, by the way, is an illegal color to use for a person because it has a special use in event storming. So make sure that orange is not a color you use in the first place. So as a participant, you can pick a node if you think it's important. After identifying the pivotal events, you want to do some frame sorting, as it's named. Frame sorting means that you order all the events that belong to a certain pivotal event in the same frame. It looks a bit like this. If you see the frame below this image, you see that there are boxes drawn around certain events. This is the first structure that is emerging in your workshop because you have pivotal events and the events that belong next to it. The fourth step is called roles and systems. In this step, you are going to identify the roles as people and the systems involved in your business process. So systems can be many things. It can be software systems that are interactive in your business process. It can be internal software like a legacy app, but it can also be external parties. It can also be that systems are external. So people can have many aspects. It can be a role or persona. People have a name and a surname. People can also be generic or really specific. So here's an example of some systems on the pink sheets and some roles or people on the yellow sheets. Also in this case, the color notation is really important. The next step is to do an explicit walkthrough, which is a fun activity. In those steps, we need a narrator, a scribe, and a validating audience. So there are basically 3 roles in the walkthrough, like we said. So typically the narrator of a specific frame in your overview stands up because he or she is the expert here. The narrator is temporarily responsible to tell the story in the right way. The scribe is catching all the details, and the rest of the participants is seen as the audience, which has a validating role. Sometimes it's not possible to discuss all the frames in your business process. You have to choose the business process which has the most value at the moment. Next step is making the value explicit, which is a really fun activity. So which steps of the process generate value? Value can be many things. Adding value can be done with emoticons. Emoticons or stickers if you do it in a physical way. This is really a fun activity because you see all the emotions your teammates have on a specific part of your business process. By the way, try to focus on the value of your customer, not the internal value you see in the business processes. But of course, it's also a good way to visualize emotions like frustration or anger if there's friction in the business process. Now we have a total overview including value. It's time to map some problems and opportunities. So how I normally do this is have some index cards with me with a green or a red marker. Red stands for a problem and green stands for an opportunity. In this phase, everybody is free to bring in some opportunities or problems. In the end, it looks a bit like this on the lower side of the screen. You can see definitely that some parts of the business process have an index card with a problem or an opportunity. Now it's time for the last step. Decide what to do or where to bring focus for our next workshop. You can do this with arrow voting. So which problems do we want to solve first? Everybody can get 3 arrows in the overview to make a vote. Make sure that the arrow is pointing to an opportunity or a problem. In the end, you have an overview like this. So in my row, it's exactly like this. Or if you have an office, imagine that your entire wall is used with sticky notes and frames, and it's clearly where the pain is using the arrow votes, or where the opportunity lies for the next step. I can imagine it's a lot, and there's also a lot of questions, maybe. Leave your question in the comment below, and let's see how I can help you. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video on event storming. Make sure you visit my website, productfacilitator.com, with some more details on event storming, and of course my event storming facilitation. Hope to see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.